I met Kobe Bryant when I was in high school. He said that basketball was 70% mental, 30% physical. And it's never been more true.
This is 70-30 with Thomas Viglianco.
Welcome back to 70-30 with Thomas Viglianco. I have a special guest on today, today's podcast, and it's a young man that I've known since 2013, 2014, when he was at Omaha South in Omaha, Nebraska. The pick for the Denver Broncos, the 20th overall pick back in 2019 NFL draft. Now 6 years in the NFL with the Seattle Seahawks, Mr. Noah Fant. How we doing, Noah?
I'm doing good.
I appreciate you coming on. I just sent our producer a picture of you and me in the gym with Tristan Simpson and the boys back in 2014. Actually, March of 2014, man.
Yeah.
Crazy how time flies. Talk to us, Noah, real quick. Like, what's up? What's the off season? I know you were just in Paris, little France, your first trip overseas. Talk to the people about Noah Fant's current life in February of 2025. What do you got going on?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been great. Honestly, like you said, going into year 7, just completed year 6 in the NFL. Still feeling young. Haven't had, knock on wood, haven't had any too bad injuries or anything, and doing good. So, I mean, usually I try to take a trip each year to just try to go experience something new, experience a different culture and all those things. So I went to Paris this year and had a lot of fun, and was happy to get back though to the States. But it was a great time, and doing well, just kind of progressing now, getting into, like a lot of guys do after the Super Bowl, getting back into heavy like off-season training and stuff, and getting going with all that. So going on schedule and getting ready for this next season.
Awesome. Well, we'll touch on several things development-wise, your journey, food, all those kind of things to talk about. What would you, to get back to traveling in Paris, in all of your journeys since being in the NFL and having some off-season trips, what's your favorite place that you've been to? Whether it's States, whether it's Caribbean, what is it? Yeah,
I think honestly my favorite place so far has been Punta Cana, like the Dominican Republic in Punta Cana. That was a great time. Great culture, great people. I really enjoyed that one. And then two places that I want are on my bucket list to go to are in South Africa and Cape Town, and then go to Japan. So those are two that I will have to get some time to make those trips. But those are two that I'm looking forward to for sure.
No, that's awesome. I'm a little older than you now, Mr. Noah, so I don't like to fly to Japan or that far away unless it's business related or one of my players is doing something, but that's a long trip. That's for real. But no, man, let's just start out with, I mean, like I said, you were in the gym with me when I was still playing pro basketball back in 2014-13 time frame. Mm-hmm. Tell us what was it like for you as a youngster in Omaha, Nebraska? You were a multi-sport athlete, Omaha South. Talk to the people out there that, kind of your upbringing. What were you doing sports-wise until you kind of made that decision to go more the football route?
Yeah, I mean, I was raised up to, play all sports, honestly. I played football, basketball, and track were my main 3 sports, and just kind of kept going with that through all of grade school, middle school, high school. And then once I got into high school, it was kind of like a split in the road. It was like, okay, well, what do I want to do, like going into college? Like, what do I want to do, after high school? And, I was getting recruited by some small D1s in basketball, but not nearly as much as, like, for football. It was like some major Power 5 schools. Like, I got like 4 in the matter of like 48 hours in my sophomore year or in my junior year. And so it just kind of was like the writing was on the wall. It was like, okay, that's my answer right there. Is like, I'm, much more kind of desired in the football realm. So ended up deciding to go in that route. And then I had to make another decision of if I wanted to play defense or offense. Because I played both in high school and was getting recruited for both. And, I decided that I like to catch passes and score touchdowns a little bit better than tackling and getting sacks and stuff like that. But even though I love that part of the game too, I like scoring touchdowns a little bit better. So
Makes sense. What for all the hoopers out there that listen? What was I know your game. Talk to people real quick. Because you still love basketball. When you look at your social media, a lot of Caitlin Clark love and a lot of basketball love. What was if you had to say in a nutshell, what was your basketball go-tos? What was your game like?
Yeah, I would say I was like kind of like a stretch four, honestly. Like I don't think I was like a real three. I liked being in the post a little bit. I liked the mid-range game. I liked going up and trying to dunk on people and all that stuff. That was like that part of the game, that aggressiveness of part of the game. Usually was in a little bit of foul trouble, playing a little bit too aggressively, but that's kind of where I kind of viewed myself in the basketball realm and where I was taught and kind of flourished at. It was in the mid-range and in the paint. So yeah.
Tell me, for the football people out there listening, for the sports people out there listening, in the training world that we live in, you talked briefly about you had to choose between offense and defense. Like what were you doing growing up? So you know how V Hoops was. You came in for training and we worked on skill development and all that kind of stuff, and then we play. And I know you respect me. You've always been very respectful of me over all the years. For people that don't have a V Hoops for basketball, football, whatever sport it is, like what were you doing as a youngster, preparing yourself for maybe offense and defense? What were you doing footwork-wise? Then when you got to high school, you had to make that decision. Like if you can maybe break that down from like kind of the youth to maybe the high school stuff.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was just like it's kind of a cliche answer, but it was honestly like I had my older brother who played football at University of Nebraska Kearney. My dad. It was just like it was one of those things where the amount of mandatory workouts I had to do through high school or whatever it may have been. I was trying to match that with something extra 2, 3, 4 times a week with my brother and my dad, going up to 24-hour fitness, going to a park down the street, doing ladder drills, doing stuff like that. Just like trying to like each day, my mindset was of like, okay, if I'm doing the mandatory thing that everybody in the country does, right? Everybody for their high school goes and works out and has mandatory workouts, has open gym, has those things. But if I go and do this extra stuff where I go to 24-hour fitness and I just get 300 shots up, but before I'm done for the night, or I go to the park and I work through some routes, or I work through some cone drills or some sled pulls, whatever it may be, that stuff is going to compound over time to put me where I wanted to be at. So that it was just like extra work. That was the only way to describe it, really, is just like putting in the extra work. And these are just like normal, just like fundamental drills of like, it wasn't anything special. It wasn't working out with any route specialists or anything of that nature. It was just work. Sweat equity is what some people call it. But that's what I feel like got me to where I wanted to be.
So like, would you say for kids, well, like I know for me, how I was trained and how I train players, like I was doing 2-ball dribbling, doing some post stuff and working on my shot when I was in 4th and 5th grade. But it's because my father did it, just like your brother and your dad and your great family. What would you say to a kid that's doing like, all right, I'm a quarterback. Maybe he's going to be a tight end someday, or I'm whatever, and I'm going to be this someday down the road. Like, so just put in extra, make sure you're throwing, but also you're running routes and you work on your footwork and ladder drills.
Yes, I think that's a great point that you bring up, actually. So like that happened to me especially in the football realm, right? Is like in basketball, I never really played point guard. Like that was never really my thing. Like I was always trying to size to the basket. But that was never really my thing. So I was always kind of in the bigs realm, like 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that area. But in football, like growing up, like I played quarterback for a little bit. I played running back for a little bit. I had to play O-line for a little bit because I got like too heavy and I was a striper for a year. So it's like, it helped me with my overall like growth and development growing up. So I would just encourage, like, if there's kids out there that don't be afraid to like, if you like, don't just delegate yourself to one position, especially for young kids, right? Like try different positions, try playing different things. Now, once you get into like middle school, high school, then it's like, okay, like creating a focus of like, okay, I want to be really good at this. I want to hone in on this. to play. But I'm a huge believer in like in high school kids playing both ways though. It just like it helps your just overall development of your body moving in different ways, because obviously defensive and offensive players are asked much different things on the football field. So it just helps your overall development and become a well-rounded athlete. So I definitely encourage that.
What did you do high school wise as far as both sides?
So I played tight end and receiver. So like I played tight end. Sometimes I would split out a receiver, and then I played defensive end on defense.
Okay. And did you do that all your whole high school career, or did you kind of start doing? Okay.
Oh, yep, all 4 years. So did that, and then like I said, like once I started getting recruited, and was like, I'm just gonna keep playing. I'm gonna keep playing both. I like playing both, and then make that decision senior year once I commit to a school and have those conversations with the coaches about what exactly I want to play and what they want me to play, and then go from there. And it worked out well in that standpoint, and decided to go to Iowa because the long illustrious line of tight ends that have gone there. So
your time at Iowa, talk to me about that. We don't have to go super long into that, but I mean, obviously that propelled you to the next level because, like you said, the long line of tight ends and very, very, very good players and NFL players coming from there. What was your time like there?
I loved Iowa City, to be honest. I know that it was kind of frowned upon in the Nebraska realm. A lot of people wanted me to go to Nebraska, which is understandable, a hometown kid and all those things. But I tried to make a decision that was best for me and my development and what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a really good tight end in college, and I felt like Iowa had a really good path for that. And it wasn't even really like coming out of high school. It wasn't about the NFL. I was just like, I really wanted to be on a full ride scholarship. Obviously, one, so my parents didn't have to pay for my school, and then I just wanted to be really successful at playing tight end. And I felt that Iowa was my best shot of doing that, and I loved it there. I loved every part of the school. Kirk Ferentz was a great coach. Still have a lot of respect for him to this day. He's still there after 20 something years. Like he's still the OG in Iowa City. So it was a great experience, and I loved it, and was blessed enough to be able to get to the NFL from there. So, and that's not saying it was all like peaches and roses either, right? There's highs and lows. There's rough times. There's really great times. But I grew up a lot when I was there, and kind of had to, as every athlete and every student does when they go to college, you have to kind of grow up into a young man, young woman there, and kind of spread your wings on your own. And I was able to do that there. And I think it was cool that the, coaches and the fan base and everybody, kind of showed all of our players, showed all of the student athletes their grace, and kind of let them feel it out and experience all of that in real time. So it was a great spot to be.
I know you just said some stuff about some tough times. We're going to get on that real quick. But first, for listeners out there, like, I'm just a big believer in trying to do the right thing. Nobody's perfect. I say that all the time. But I remember running into you, Noah, during a state tournament game when you were still at Iowa. And it was right before, I think you were going to enter the draft or something was going to happen. But came up to me. We gave each other a hug. And I was like, hey, man, just really proud of you. And he was like, Thomas, I follow you. I respect you, man. Thank you for everything you've done for me. And that just showed me then that, like, you get it. You realize that, like, this is a big deal, and your life is changing, but you're also staying humble, which is just a beautiful thing. And I guess on that path, anything in high school, middle school, college, maybe two things, whatever it was in those years that maybe humbled you or kind of hit you and like, man, like, this is a little crossroads here in my life that I'm glad I did this instead of this. Anything for people to hear?
Let's think. I think one of the big ones was in high school. When I really started like getting serious about football, my dad and me both, I was like, man, I felt really passionate about wanting to go to like Rivals and Nike's camps, like outside of the Midwest area, because I wanted to see like what the competition was, nationwide. And I would say that it was just like, maybe it was like a humbling but also like encouraging experience, because it was like when I went to those, I didn't do bad by any means, but I knew that as an athlete I could keep up, and that was a good feeling. But at the same time, I was like, man, I'm still like not where exactly I want to be at. And like, obviously every kid coming out, right? You want to be a 5-star, 4-star, like all that. And coming out of Nebraska, it was a little bit harder at that time, right? Because not a lot of guys were getting recruited big time in Nebraska. So it was kind of one of those humbling experiences of like, man, I got to even put more work in. I gotta grind even harder in those situations. So I feel like that was one situation of like, it was encouraging but humbling at the same time of like, there's the tale of these two cities of like, man, I know that I can hang. It's really cool to see that I can make these plays, but at the same time, I'm not quite where I want to be at of like just completely taking over and dominating. So I feel like that was one. And then in college, it's just like, it's hard to even pinpoint one situation in college just because like I went through so much growth each year. Like, it just as a freshman coming in playing my true freshman year, it wasn't used to the academic schedule. Wasn't you like there was so much to learn with practice and the academic schedule, going to tutoring, going to all this stuff, and I struggled a little bit in that, and grew a lot. And then into my sophomore year, grew a little bit more, and into my junior year also. And so it was like a little bit of a humbling experience there of just like you go in with these just like, oh, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be easy, it's gonna be smooth, and maybe for some people it is, but it wasn't the smoothest for me at first. And I had to kind of grow and go through some of those hard times to try and get where I wanted to be. So that's the beautiful part of the journey, though, and that's what I really appreciated. And that's why I have such kind of fond memories of going to school at Iowa and playing at Iowa, because I was tried and tested with a lot of different kind of tribulations, and was able to kind of push through those and grow through those and lean on my faith in those moments and lean on my family, obviously, and make it through those and come out on the other end better. So that was really cool.
Here's one for you. Maybe you get asked this a lot. Maybe you've never been asked this, but something I've always thought about with NFL guys. What's it like, the NFL draft process? Like, when you started getting on boards, like, did you look at that stuff? People send stuff to you and you're like, I don't want to see it. Like that part. And then also like going through the whole draft process and all that. And again, I know we could talk about this for probably 4 hours, but like in a 4 or 5 minute window, like give me those two kind of scenarios for you.
It's very unique. It's a very unique process because like every team has different opinions of you, right? So it's like you go in, like you'll talk to some teams and they'll be like, oh, like we value you as top 15 pick. And then another team will say, hey, like we think that you're somewhere between 25, you're 22, 20 and 32. And like a lot of teams valued me in the first round, but it's just like this wide range of like what they think that you can do. And like as an athlete, you're like, man, like I know I can do this. I know I can do this. And it's a tough kind of thing to swap, like a tough thing to kind of take on a little bit, because you're like, man, like it's their job to pick out all of your weaknesses and all of your strengths and all of those things. And so it was an interesting experience. And I think that I used it kind of to motivate me during combine training, and just like even good and bad things. It was just like, okay, I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to get better at my strength or my speed or whatever it may be. And then in draft night, that's just a whole nother league of itself, just being in the green room. There's like 36 other guys in there that they project that could possibly go in the first round. And you're just kind of sitting there waiting for your call. And it's very nerve wracking and very tense moment. But then once you get that call, it's such a surreal moment to just be able to celebrate all of that with your family right there, and all the cameras and everything around, and getting to walk the stage and all of that. So it was a really cool experience, but definitely stressful. But it's one of those things that's like you're blessed to kind of have that stress for sure.
From what I remember, the Broncos traded back, I think, dropped down, and they drafted you. Did you? I know you probably didn't think they were going to draft you, but did you have a good interview with the Broncos? And then you're like, oh, I think they're top 2 or 3 that would pick me. Like, any remembrance of that?
Yeah, no, I did have I had a top 30 visit that I went to Denver. They flew me out there and visited with them, and it went great. And they were at 10, and I was like, I don't know, that's kind of high. I don't know if they were going to take me at 10, and they traded back, and I was like, okay, they're a real player at that range. I was like anywhere from 17, 18 to any team, and from there on could be wanting a tight end. And there was like two, like at 7 and 8, Jacksonville and Detroit needed a tight end. Detroit ended up taking my teammate TJ Hawkinson, which he's done really well for himself there in Minnesota. And then I was like, I didn't know exactly where I was going to fall from there. So yeah, it was kind of one of those unknowns. I knew that I had a really good meeting with Denver. The two places that I wanted to go was either Denver, the Broncos, or the Vikings. Somewhat close to home in the Midwest area. That was close. That needed a tight end. So it ended up working out great. So.
No, that's awesome, man. Obviously you're now with Seattle Seahawks. Just signed a 2-year extension back in almost a year ago, right?
Yep.
Almost a year ago. So congrats on that, man. So proud of you. I know. Give a little shout out to our boy Mike Sauter from way back when we were doing top 50 camps that you were at with us and all that. I saw the video of you guys, or of him, getting emotional back when you signed that contract. And so shout out to Mike Sauter. Talk to me about obviously development, but like how do you? And this is coming from I've always wanted to know this, and I've never talked to an NFL guy that's lived it and living it currently. Mm-hmm. How do you, especially coming from the basketball realm that you used to be in, that I'm in, how do you play tight end? And I know it's got to be all mental, but how do you play tight end in the NFL knowing that like 1 series, 2 series, you know you're not going to touch the ball, you got to block, you got to take hits, you might have to run across the middle and get cracked, knowing you're not going to. How is that mindset compared to basketball? Like, all right, you're getting the ball, or go rebound, or I'm going to go do this and play defense and get the ball. Like, hey, no, you might not touch the ball for a game or a half. Be a good teammate, lock in. Like, explain that to people.
Yeah, it's a tough thing at times, right? Like I'm not gonna say it's easy, right? Like you obviously you want to make the plays and you want to do all those things, but you have to find like the finer things in the game, right? Because like the block that you're gonna spring your running back on is just as important as you catching a pass, right? It's just as important as you scoring a touchdown. And I really had to I really kind of saw that at Iowa. And then again, took it even to another level in the NFL, because at Iowa, right, like our whole offense ran through our tight ends. Like that was what we were known for. That's what we did. So the tight ends were heavily involved all the time. And, as you get into the NFL, you're paying these receivers major money to be heavy parts of the pass game. And you're paying your running backs, they're going to be in the run game and obviously all that. So like you kind of got to find your way in between and find your spot and hopefully develop and be into one of those like Travis Kelce, George Kittle guys that, get a lot of passes and all that stuff. So it's all a process, honestly. And it's one of those cool things. It's like you have to learn as you keep going. It's like growth, kind of what I was talking about with in college, of just like realizing like, okay, like I might not get the ball on this play, but I'm going to block and I'm going to spring this running back to the best of my ability and try to get this guy down the field so that maybe, you never know what happens after that. You never know how the drive goes, but eventually your time to make that play is going to pop up. And my biggest thing is like, I don't want to have whatever it is weighing on my mind of like, that's going to hinder me in the moment that I need to make that play. So it's really just taking it play by play, whatever job is asked of you, doing that to the best of your ability for the betterment of the team. That's what it always amounts up to. And that's one of the things I liked about our current coach in Seattle, Mike McDonald. He's like, that's one of our mottos is the team. That's the most important thing. It's the team. So that's something that's pretty cool. So
that's great. I mean, it comes back to, like we said, it's mindset, and you training yourself, knowing that like, if I do this block right and it springs him for this, and it's going to lead to a touchdown or a big play. In the film room, and the people that actually matter, not fantasy guys and all that stuff. But it's the same thing with basketball. I try to tell players all the time, I'm like, people that know how to evaluate, the people that are going to give you jobs.
Mhm.
Like the assist that you made to the assist,
Mhm.
that's going to show up on their stat book, but nobody else's.
Yep.
But it's hard for people to grasp that because, well, I didn't get the shine, and he had 25 points, and the book, and this, and the pictures. But it's like, you did your job, and they know that's why you're getting this money or you're getting these jobs. But it's so hard for kids, I think, this generation, because people don't talk that way. You know how it is, Noah. I'm sure you deal with it. People ask you questions all the time, and it's like, hey, everyone's a role player. I say that all the time, man. You have to accept that. Well, no, I want to, like, dude, shoot the ball really well, play good defense, be a good teammate, crash the boards, like, do those things. Well, what if I just a real good rebounder and I can hit some threes and play good defense? There's going to be a spot for you.
Right.
But people don't want to say that too much because it's not the sexy thing. So then you don't fall in love with it, and then you get off the path. But the people that do, like us, you find jobs. And I hope people are hearing what Noah's saying, and what I'm touching on here is like, you're a role player, and you can be a role player and have a very, very successful long career. But you got to buy into it and not read the clippings, read the Twitterverse and all that of people hating on you for, oh, he played terrible today. It's like, actually, I thought I played a really good game.
Yeah, I think that the cool thing is also in what I kind of view it as in my profession, especially, is like the guys that do those things, they do the little things, they make those little plays, they make those little things that may go unnoticed that the people that are given those jobs do notice, on top of shining and having that production and all those things. Those are the really special players. Those are the guys that are like going to leave their mark on the game. And that's one of the things, like, I really have a lot of respect for, like, George and Travis in our game right now. Is like they're guys that do that, right? They do the little things, like, especially like George is an Iowa guy also. Is like the little things matter to him. You could tell the way he plays, the little things matter, and that that on top of the production that he already provides, that he already gets throughout the season, is just like, that's something that makes him super special. So when you put all those things together, that's when you really leave your mark on the game, for sure.
Obviously, you're going to be doing your off-season training here coming up down in California. Anything that Mr. Noah Fant going into year 7 with the Seattle Seahawks is looking to add or fine-tune this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm just trying to keep getting stronger. I think that as my career and as the game keeps, like, progressing and evolving as we go, just being able to be that, all around guy, right? The guy that can block in the trenches on first down and then go burn down the seam for a 30-yard ball on third down. So, and not a whole bunch of guys in the league can really do that, like, on a consistent basis. So I want to keep trying to push that envelope and be able to do that and continue to gain that strength, but also have the speed that makes me successful in the pass game. So I'm excited to keep working on that.
Can you go through, and it doesn't have to be too detailed, you want to probably keep some stuff private, what's a day in the life of Noah Fant in the offseason when you're not in Paris enjoying yourself? What's a day in the life for you, like food-wise, like in breakfast and lunch, dinner, and protein shakes and lifting and out on the field, whatever?
Yeah, usually, I mean, just on a general day, they'll wake up, get breakfast, go get your lift in. After you lift, you get a protein shake. After that, you'll probably go home and rest and shower for a little bit, eat lunch, go to a treatment session of some sort, which is whether it be like actually working with an actual PT, getting a massage, going and hitting a yoga class, hot yoga, whatever it may be. Just something to try to keep your body right. And then usually, let's say 2 or 3 times a week, getting some field work in. This is like early on in the off season, getting some field work in to keep your speed, keep your lateral quickness, keep your change of direction, and all their like breaking in and out of cuts for routes and things like that, to keep those things brushed up on. And I would say that would sum up a day. After you're done with like that treatment session, you go home and maybe catch a quick round of golf if you finish up early, if you're done at like 2, catch a quick round of golf in the afternoon and call it a night, and then go home and get some rest and do it again the next day. So
That's what's up, man. What do you food wise? Let's say the progression from high school to college to pro. Like you used to eat just in high school, then better in college. Now as a pro, like how have you fine tuned your diet?
yeah, I think that that's something I've noticed as I keep like getting older. Right, is like I can't eat the same way I was at 19 as I am at 27, and in certain areas you can, but like when you're really trying to, right, this is the way I look at it, is like every year they're trying to draft guys to replace guys that are getting older and throughout the NFL. So I'm gonna try to do the best that I can to eat healthy, keep my body healthy, eat the right things so that I'm in the best tip top shape. So when I get back to training camp or I get back to wherever, whatever team I'm on, then that they're like, man, this guy is like in such good shape that it's like we don't need a replacement. Like this is our guy. Like this is what we're gonna go with, and that's a process. That's not something that happens like 2 weeks before you report. Like that's something that starts early on that you have to like progress into and build your body up the right way to be ready for those things. So,
Any little things that you like to do, reading wise, yoga? I know you mentioned some hot yoga, but anything you like to do, mental preparation wise? The podcast is called 70-30. Met Kobe Bryant when I was in high school. He talked about basketball being 70% mental, 30% physical. That's why I named the podcast. So, like for you, as you've gotten older and wiser and in the league now, and anything you try to do to keep your mind right, and especially during the season?
yeah, honestly, I'm not a huge reader. Besides like devotional, like I said before, I try to lean on keep my faith as a priority and throughout the season, and just like reading devotionals and things of that nature. Something that really like it's not an uncommon thing in the league. Sometimes it's like frowned upon amongst the outside, but like a lot of guys like to play video games to like decompress. You know what I'm saying? And just kind of get away from the game for a little, get away from like your job for a little bit, and just kind of unplug for an hour, whatever it may be, and just kind of decompress in that way. Obviously, like I said, I like to golf a lot. I wouldn't say I'm a good golfer, but I like to be out and outside and just kind of with my thoughts, playing a little bit of music and just swinging the club. So I think that's another thing that really helps me decompress in the off season. Can't really do that in the season because you don't want to like pull a muscle in your back or anything like that, and that wouldn't be a great conversation coming back to the trainers. So
you need to get out to Lake Tahoe. You need to put your name in the hat, man.
Yeah, I haven't done that. That's a good point. I do need to do that.
But I don't know if you're Aaron Rodgers, Steph Curry good yet.
No, I'm not. One day I'll get there.
No, we'll kind of close it up with two more things. One being, you being in the NFL, what would you tell the youth, this generation, the teens, the high schoolers, middle schoolers, all that? What would you give advice now that you've been through so much in your journey? Like, what could you say, like, hey, keep doing this, or keep working harder, listen to people, or find the right mentors? Like, what would you have to say is like maybe in a nutshell?
I think like, honestly, I'm just a big hard work guy. Honestly, it's just like, I think that's what's has been able to, push me along throughout the years. I think that like when you're growing up, right, there's guys that are just like naturally gifted. Like I grew up with a ton of them that are just like naturally gifted. Like you're just like, man, they really like basketball players, like they might make it to the NBA. Seriously, like they're that good. But if their work ethic isn't the best, then they're not going to get there. Whereas then you'll have guys that have developed, that have just like worked hard their whole life and end up being amazing. And then you have a slim group of guys that have that God-given just amazing ability, that are bust their butts also, and that those are the guys that I just like really have a lot of respect for, and those are the guys that are special, that really, like I was talking about before, that leave their mark on the game. And so that's why I'm always hard work driven, and I give advice to kids growing up is like, don't be afraid I know it's not fun, and like multiple athletes have said it before, but Tom Brady had said it before in a clip, like he recommended every kid to play football, and like it's not easy waking up for summer workouts and having the same with basketball. It's not easy waking up early to go to open gym and having to do all this where your buddies are getting to hang out and wake up late and eat pancakes that their mom made and all that stuff. I severely I encourage kids all the time to play as many sports as possible and to just really give it your all and do the extra hard work every day that you can. And it'll put you in a good place.
I appreciate that. We'll finish with this. Maybe a little Q&A. Have a little fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Bellevue up in Seattle. Been up to Bellevue, that area, beautiful area. What's your favorite food to eat in Seattle? Are you a fish guy? Are you a seafood guy? Are you not a seafood guy, which would probably be not great in Seattle? Mm-hmm. What's your favorite go-to in Seattle to eat?
That's one of my things I love about Seattle. Seattle's a big melting pot, so there's so many different types of food there. But I would have to say the top of the top, the best that I love to go to is Din Tai Fung. I don't know if you've had it before. It's like this dumpling place that has these it's like Xiaolong Bao, or I might be mispronouncing that, but they're these soup-filled dumplings that are freaking amazing, and I can house like 20 of them, but they're just like so good, and their fried rice is amazing, and they have dessert and all this stuff, and it's a great restaurant, great place to be, great vibe in there, and their drinks are really good. So that's my top place to go.
Favorite basketball team, player, GOAT? What do we got?
This is an interesting topic. A lot of people so many people. Listen. This is where I'm at. I'm a Michael Jordan guy. I think Michael Jordan's the GOAT. That's where I'm at. I have immense amount of respect for LeBron. LeBron is up there. I think it's like 1A, 1B. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest. The LeBron situation when he went to Miami, that threw me off of LeBron a little bit. I was a huge LeBron fan growing up. Massive. He had this bubble gum, which a lot of people don't know. He had this bubble gum, this raspberry lemonade bubble gum. It was amazing. I chewed it every day. I was LeBron through and through. And then when he went to Miami, I was just like, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But MJ and LeBron are the top of the top for me.
Women's basketball, Caitlin Clark fan.
Big Caitlin Clark fan. Gotta be.
People that hate on. I mean, I know she was kind of a tyrant at Iowa in the sense, and obviously that's your alma mater. Mm-hmm. But she's just ruthless. I mean, she's ruthless. That's what you have to be. Which I know mm-hmm. how this is. But if you're gonna make it, man, you got to bring it. You got to have that little edge. And if it's on the court, I always say, Thomas Viglianco on the court, people would have been like, oh my gosh, this dude's crazy. Off the court, I'm different. So it's you got to have those two little switches, and I think she obviously does. But yeah, I've seen you obviously post a lot of stuff, like retweets about her and all that.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing about Caitlin has been kind of seeing her growth from when she first got at Iowa all the way through her Iowa career, and then her first year with the Fever. And I'm really excited to see her this next year. Honestly, I think that a lot of people didn't see Caitlin Clark before her stardom, right? She really got really big, and that's when people really started watching her. But it's seeing her growth through her whole career has been really cool. So I'm really excited to see what she does this year with the Fever. Obviously, the Fever I feel like they've done a great job of accruing some talent around her, that some really good players, and it's going to be really cool to see what she does. I think she has that kind of what you were talking about with Kobe, right? It's that switch, that that switches when she gets on the court. You can tell it's like she's not taking any crap from anybody. She's out there giving it her all, giving it her best, pulling up for those threes, and it's something that's special to watch. So I think it's going to be really cool to see how she continues to progress this year and continued on through her career.
Mr. Noah Fant, last thing, we're out. Where do you see yourself in 10 years, 15 years? When hopefully you're playing another 7, 8 years in the NFL and all those things. What's that step when you're done playing in the NFL? What do you want to do? Where do you think you might be? What's some passions of yours, legacy, purpose type stuff?
Yeah. So obviously, like, my plan is to like kind of play football until the wheels fall off. It's a game that I love and that I've been playing for so long. So I want to play it as long as I can and keep playing at a high level and do that. And then afterwards, man, I mean, honestly, I'm passionate about like in the real estate game. Like, my dad owns a business that he flips houses, owns rental houses and things like that I've been very passionate about. That I think that I could do some really good things with. And then obviously on the other side of it, I've always had a passion of like, which is really cool. Like with you, for example, it's like I've had a passion of like building a place that I can like help train athletes and train young guys coming up. Like the same passion that you have to like push guys forward and like really just try to give them that help that they need to get them over the hump or whatever battle or whatever thing that they're trying to get better in. I have a passion about doing that and giving back in Omaha or in Nebraska in some sort of way. So we'll see how that plays out. But I've always had that passion to try to help athletes back home from where I'm from. And it's really cool to see, like, with your help, with Steve Warren, with like, there's multiple guys that in Omaha that have helped kind of like bring recruitment to Nebraska, where it's becoming like a bigger known name in recruiting, and especially in Omaha and Lincoln. So that's been really cool to see, and just want to try to help with that as much as possible. So
that's awesome, man. I have a feeling with all my young Jedis in life, the Sam Griesels and the Noah Fants, Tristan Simpsons, all these guys that are playing pro ball and doing so many special things, but also want to do stuff that I do, the mentorship, everything. I see some really, really cool things down the line, man, that like I'm going to be like a proud parent. Like, man, I got like 10, 15 players doing all this stuff. And I'm happy and grateful to be a part of it. Anytime I see you play, Noah, it always brings a smile to my face. People ask me, should I take him in the fantasy this week? I'm like, hey, you got to take my boy Noah. So it's just really cool, man, to see how far you've come. Like I said in the beginning, back to 2014 when you were coming in and driving down from Omaha to Lincoln, you didn't have to do that. That's when you started training more towards football. Mm-hmm. And your dad was bringing you down here to train with me at Viglianco Hoops, and that just shows me, man, that you've always been a special kid. You've been a hard worker, and you weren't afraid of the challenge and to get better. And I just appreciate your friendship over all these years. I'm so proud of you. I know so many people are, and I just appreciate you coming on today, man.
Yeah, no problem at all. I appreciate you too, man. It's crazy how fast time is flying. Is like, it's starting to make me feel a little bit old. It's like, man, it's like, oh my God, 2014 is like, it's like, that's crazy. But I'm so grateful to, like you said, you guys like you, Steve Warren, like you mentioned Mike Sauter too. Is like him helping like just try to push Nebraska athletes up and get their names out there. Is like, we got a really good group of guys and people in Nebraska that are helping the kids there. So it's been awesome, and I look forward to keeping this friendship going, and hopefully we can do this again.
Awesome. No, I truly appreciate it. Thanks for coming on 70-30, and look forward to next season with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yes, sir. No problem.